That's all bullshit.
What's up, you news boppers? I don't know what circles you're running in, but some of you may be aware of the fact that Rachel Bilson and Melinda Clark are doing an OC episode by episode rewatch podcast, which was an idea that I tweeted about, well over a year ago. And while I am sad that I'm not doing it, I'm, thrilled about the fact that we'll have two people who were on the show doing it. Two very funny, lovely, interesting people. And, they're going to have actual producers and they're going to have people from the show on. So I'm sure it's going to be more fulfilling to listen to than any sort of, maniacal garbage I would have put out. But I feel like if the OC is going to be in the conversation again, I have to be a part of it. And so I'm here today to join in on this rewatch of the OC because it's just one of my favorite shows of all time. I have loved the OC forever, which is a difference as well between me and these two women who are talking about the show, obviously, because it's not like they've sat around and watched it for the last 15, 20 years. Unlike myself, who has just watched it, over and over again. But admittedly, mostly just the first two seasons, 3 and 4, I kind of just, haven't watched as much. But I'm ready and willing and excited to rewatch the whole show, especially since I own it all on DVD somewhere out there in this little world. Now, when the OC originally started, I was a tiny little 10-year-old lady just living her life at a Christian school with older siblings who didn't dominate the TV by any means, but certainly were not interested in watching yet another teen drama. What little Alexis would do was she would see the promos on TV for new episodes of the OC, as it was a primetime TV show. They were pumping it out in the airwaves, and once it really was, in the zeitgeist, I would go to school after it aired and ask my friend who was an only child who watched it to summarize the plot for me. This has been a lifelong obsession. I didn't watch it until I was in high school where, I fell in love because it's a just beautiful, crazy show. It premiered August 5th, 2003. It had a 7-week trial run before the World Series, the final 7 games were going to happen. Fox greenlit these initial 7 episodes of the OC. There's 27 episodes in the first season. It's, I think, haven't done the research, assuming it's true, the longest first season of a TV show, maybe ever. Sitcoms have 22, right? But to have 27 episodes in your first season is truly insane. And especially by today's standards, considering seasons of shows have 10 episodes, to shoot 27 is mind-boggling. The content of the show is so rich. There are 92 episodes of the show and it only was on for 4 seasons. It's insane, but so impressive. I mean, such a gift. Bless them all for giving us all of this content to just consume and think about and watch over and over and over again. The synopsis for this episode on IMDb reads, "A troubled teen boy's life is forever changed when, upon landing in jail for a crime his brother committed, a public defender from Orange County, California, decides to take him into his home." And that's the show, baby. We're just getting started. It was directed by Doug Liman, and it was written by Josh Schwartz, our faithful creator. From the jump, we see Ryan and Trey in some alley somewhere stealing a car, and we learn almost immediately that Trey is a literal fucking psycho, because he has the tire iron in his hand and he says, "If I don't teach you this, who will?" And then he smashes in this window. It's just insane. It's such a crazy moment. And then when he says to Ryan, "Get in, you little bitch," you're just like, who is this man? And we see Ryan, he's all very frantic, he's very nervous, and you're like, who is this guy? Does he want to be bad? Then, we see Ryan in jail, and we see Sandy sitting at the table, and we're introduced to these characters, and Ryan is just the king of millennial burnout, and just oozing with sarcasm. So Ryan gives Sandy this whole big speech about how modern medicine is so advanced and we're gonna have to work in our jobs until we're 80. And I mean, honestly, if anyone needed a, something to point to say what's happening to millennials, why are we so burned out in our jobs, I mean, Ryan Atwood really put that seed in our brain pretty early that we're gonna be working until we die, so we don't want to commit to anything too quickly, right? It's a wonderful performance, and we really get a lot of outward sass from Ryan in this episode. Right at the beginning, there's a lot of just attitude coming from Ryan that we just don't see. I guess that's, presenting itself in a verbal way, which is just not who Ryan Atwood is. But we'll come to find that out. It's just very funny to watch, having watched the show and knowing what's coming, that Ryan is just the king of a dead glare. He's a man of few words. Then we meet, Sandy Cohen, our main man, Sanford, king patriarch of all patriarchs ever to be put on television. Sandy, and I don't know if it's Sandy, I don't know if it's Peter Gallagher. He's got this thick New York accent. This man is from the Bronx immediately. Not just because he tells you, it's because he tells you with his voice. It does seem kind of like a Peter Gallagher just thing. He couldn't play a British man from the docks or whatever. He's always gonna be some Jewish man from the Bronx. And that's fine. We like him all for it. Something I noticed in this particular rewatch is that the way the beginning is shot, which I've always thought about before, but I've never really clocked in a critical way, is so gritty. It just looks so rough and tumble, and that's a lot of what you're getting from Chino through Ryan's eyes in this pilot. It looks dirty. It's just, very harsh contrast to what we will see eventually. We must appreciate the work that is done by our sweet directors and cinematographers on this show. Then we meet, pretty quickly, Dawn Atwood. Billboard for birth control if I ever saw one. She really fits the bill for just a very overwhelmed, distraught, upset mother. Ryan goes home and he gets in a fight with her boyfriend, and it's all very sad and weird because Ryan's 16 and kind of takes you out of it. I feel watching these two grown men fight each other, but then the one is I'm a child, I have to leave. But if it didn't start that way, we wouldn't have a premise for the show, so I guess I can't complain. And then, of course, Ryan's looking around, he's trying to find a place to stay, and we have just the text rolling over the screen telling us we're watching the O.C., showing us our cast of characters. Phantom Planet is playing in the background. We are in this world, and it is just so magical. It's just such a powerful intro song. It's very spirited, it's very youthful, it's very the world is my oyster, but it's also kind of it's so dramatic. It's desperate. In regards to the theme tied to the O.C., there's a lot of just clawing your way out of this place, you don't want to be here. And I feel this general screaming in the song, and just the heavy pounding drums. It creates a sense of urgency, even just when you're starting the show out, I think. But I've also listened to this song so many times because it's so powerful. It's just so moving and beautiful, and I love it so much. As the song is playing, and as we're seeing Chino, and we're exiting, we're going into, Newport, the transition, again, I really noticed this time, it was just so beautiful. They show these shots of Chino outside, and then they have that iconic image of Ryan in the car, and the sun's blaring down on him, and Sandy's right next to him, and it's the opening shot for the theme song. And then the transition between leaving Chino and coming into Orange County, and just the immediate crispness, and it's just so freeing and beautiful, and so clean and pretty. It's just so beautifully edited. There's a handful of just truly transitions in this episode. They were not fucking around. They were like, we are, you know, throwing our hats in. We are making this pilot. We will do the damn thing, you guys. And they did. We also immediately established like Ryan and Sandy's relationship from the moment when Sandy is, you know, pulling up to the house and Ryan's sitting in the car, and then Sandy's like hesitant to remove the keys, and Ryan says, "It's no fun if the keys are in the car." And you're just like, this is an interesting move here, Ryan. You're really just going for broke because you called this man to come pick you up, and he's, you know, opening his doors to you, and you're just gonna joke around with him about a felony that your brother committed, which is the only reason why you know each other anyway. But, you know, it's really just getting us started with Sandy and Ryan's relationship. And then we meet Kirsten. For every great patriarch, there is a wonderful matriarch standing behind him, and our girl Kiki, oh, she's an angel, truly. I mean, she's in all white, not a coincidence, I'm assuming. She has this little like cutout like right under her boobs in her shirt, and it's, you know, very 2003, but also just like, she's cheeky, she's hip, she's, you know, fun. We love her. She also has great banter with Sandy. Everybody really plays off each other very well in this show. There's just like such a deep, like natural chemistry between all the characters. And, you know, when you got good actors and good material, you can't lose. You want to talk about some good acting, you guys? Listen, here's the thing. Ryan and Marissa's chemistry is so immediate, it is palpable, it is beautiful. These two truly star-crossed lovers are just giving us everything, and they're keeping us on our toes, and they're just making us, you know, watch these performances between these two people. And sometimes humans just have that kind of chemistry, and it's beautiful to see. And that's just how it is with Ryan and Marissa. It's just so gorgeous to watch them just play off each other. And so, you know, we have the, who are you? Whoever you want me to be. And then Marissa going, can I bum a cigarette? So the moment truly that like is immediately gonna sell you on Ryan and Marissa is the moment when he gives her a cigarette, and then they light hers off of the end of his, and the way she's looking at him while she's lighting it is so just beautiful. It's so deep. They have such a like clear connection. I mean, and with the piano playing in the background, it's edited so well, it's acted so well. Everyone is just giving it their all, and I am obsessed. We also learn a lot about Ryan in this moment too, because he's just being so honest with Marissa when he's telling her literally everything that just happened to him in the last 24 hours about how his brother stole the car, and how he met Sandy because he was his assigned public defender, and how he took him into his house. And Marissa is so unused to people being honest with her that she immediately thinks that he's fucking with her. And so she's like, you're the cousin from Boston, right? And, you know, we're learning so much about the two of them in just this very small moment. And then who should roll up but Luke in his giant fucking monster truck or whatever, this huge truck with these giant wheels. And you're just like, who is this person? This enormous man too, who's gonna look out of his car and be like, who's that guy? I'm sitting here as an audience viewer going, who's that guy? Who's this man coming in to ruin my time with Marissa and Ryan? I must know. This beach blonde, you know, beefcake. I don't want him here. There is a very fun moment too, though, that I think is, I don't know if it's just a little bit of acting or if it was part of the plot, but, you know, Ryan tosses his cigarette when Sandy tells him that there's no smoking in this house, and then Sandy just runs down the driveway and like puts it out with his foot. Where is the line between Peter and Sandy? And then, you know, Ryan goes inside and he meets Kiki and Rosie, who we barely see ever again. Then it's the next morning and Ryan is waking up to this beautiful scenery, this wonderful space, this gorgeous ocean, this infinity pool, this unbelievable pool house, and, you know, he's just landed in paradise. And then he goes into the main house, and who does he see but, you know, our little indie rock king, Seth Cohen, just with the worst posture you can imagine, and also just like truly like a man who doesn't fit in his body. You know, he looks like Tom Hanks in the beginning of Big when he's just become big. He's like a giant man who only knows how to behave like a small child. So we meet Seth and he seems like nervous and like he would be a total nerd, but then he's just so bold when he's kicking Ryan's ass at the video game, and he's so, you know, so sarcastic and just so like biting and everything he says. That's just a lot of who Seth is. And I mean, again, we're really just learning so much about these characters like right off the bat. I think about this, I think about Gilmore Girls, I think about Pushing Daisies. I put Breaking Bad in this category at this point, and like The West Wing, as shows that all have pilots that are fully baked versions of the show. Like, they're not figuring anything out, they're not learning anything new. Like, they know what they want, they know who these people are, they're not like testing any of it. It all just feels so flushed out and like prepared, and just like a whole universe has been created that we are just walking into, even though this is just for one episode because they just have to sell this pilot to get this actual show made. And it's just like so well thought out, and the characters are so well planned, and it's all so beautiful, and I just love it so much. And I feel like, you know, learning about Seth in this moment too, of like, you know, he's a dork, but he's also very sarcastic, and he's also very just like mean sometimes, and you're just like, he's a little selfish. Like, we learn about his like ambitions and his goals. He's a very full character just right away, and I just feel like that's true of all the characters in this pilot. I mean, obviously, like, I think if any one person probably we learn more about over time, it's Kirsten, and you know, a lot of this pilot is really just setting up Ryan and Marissa and Sandy, I feel, but Seth is a big part of that too. And then like eventually we get more Kirsten, and we get more Jimmy, and we get more Julie, and you know, more Summer obviously, but a lot of this just feels like our core is Ryan and Marissa and Sandy, and we're just learning a lot right away. But obviously a big part of it too is like, you know, Ryan and Seth's relationship, which really blossoms over the course of this episode, and it kind of just like maintains itself as being like the bro TP, the number one pairing of two boys in a friendship. Then we're on the boat with Ryan and Seth, and Seth is talking about Summer. And in the year of our Lord 2021, would we call Seth a stalker? Seth certainly is charming, but he's also creepy. At the very least, he's creepy here and now. So then we go to the Cooper house, and we learn a lot about Marissa, in that she is a terrible liar and also incredibly sassy. She, you know, turns the G-men coming for her dad away, and it's a very awkward moment. It's the first like true moment of like drama in Orange County that we experience. Something is awry here, and this place is not everything that we thought it would be. They are getting ready after this for the fashion show that Marissa invites Ryan to, and Sandy and Ryan are tying their tie together, having this very intimate, beautiful moment as two men who are, you know, cut from the same deck. And Sandy says my absolute favorite line from this episode.
Beats a jumpsuit.
It's ridiculous. Then we go back to the Cooper household where we meet Julie and Minnie Coop, and we immediately know who Julie Cooper is. She is a just kind of bitchy mom, and, you know, truly filling the mold of what I peripherally know a Real Housewife to be. That's all Julie Cooper ever wanted for herself. And, you know, Real Housewives of Orange County did start after the show. So again, who's leading whom here, guys? How does pop culture even happen? Is it because of these, you know, teen dramas? I mean, I wrote in my notes, Seth is supremely awkward at this point once they are at the actual event, the fashion show, for a really good cause, you guys. Seth is, when he does this like weird little hand gesture with his arm, like he's waving to Luke, and then Luke throws out a offensive, suck it queer. There's this moment between Summer and Marissa that is truly iconic.
Look what I stole! Look what I stole!
Whoa! That escalated quickly, Marissa. You pulled a whole bottle of vodka out of your purse. You need help, girl. But it'll come eventually. Things will all come to a head. Please don't worry about it. Marissa will be in distress. And then, I made a note about how weird Jimmy Cooper's Caesar is. His haircut is terrible, but it's gonna stay terrible, like the whole time. And I don't know if it's just his hair texture or what, but then Jimmy's losing his mind because, again, something's awry. Why were those G-men here? So Jimmy's gonna go to the bathroom and he's gonna cry in the stall. And Ryan's gonna go, oh, what? Notably, in the bathroom when he is sitting in the stall, there's a moment where he is just frantic. I don't know what he's trying to do, if he's trying to just like hold onto the wall or if he's trying to actually get toilet paper or something, but the set dressing completely falls apart. And I am often known for watching a show or a movie and saying, I don't think that was supposed to happen. My boyfriend will say, I think that you're wrong. I think it was supposed to happen. But here, when Jimmy is going for the toilet paper and the toilet paper dispenser fully falls off the wall, then we're outside and the event is over and, Seth and Ryan are gonna go home, the night is done. It's over with. But Summer invites them to the party at Holly's beach house for all her hard work for charity. And this is a moment that I was watching where I said to myself, wow, Summer changes so much, because I do think sincerely that Summer Roberts in that moment feels like she actually did a lot of work for charity by just, bouncing around in a silly dress. So they're outside and Seth is talking to like an old man. I don't know what is happening, but he says, hey guys, we're gonna go with them. And then, they get in this crazy Hummer. I don't even know what kind of car it is. And they drive away. We have a lot of moments of Ryan being like nervous in this episode, but when we have that like hero's shot from, the ground up at him where he says, welcome to the dark side to Seth, he truly looks in his element and you were like, who is this guy? Marissa is just downing some heavy alcohol and we are learning that this girl is very depressed. Skins who? Euphoria who? I didn't watch either of those shows. I'm assuming this is basically what it is. Then we watch Luke go out to the beach with some girl in pigtails who looks like she's legitimately 15. I know it's just a show and that Luke is a creep, but what's happening? Why dress her in pigtails? I don't know. Anyway, Ryan clocks it because, he is a hero and he doesn't want his little princess, Marissa, to be harmed by this big man, physically or emotionally, and this is an emotional hurt, and Ryan must stop it. But then we cut back to, Kirsten and Jimmy out on the lawn, having a chat, and we had found out earlier in the episode that they are old friends, they almost got married, yada yada blah blah blah. We see, again, true iconography coming out of the house, Julie Cooper asking us for pistachio froyo. Sounds disgusting, and she's in her juicy couture suit, and you're saying to yourself, who led whom? Was it the pop culture? Was it the show? Did the show create pop culture? I mean, obviously it did. So we see a whole cross-section of people in this party. We got all these stoners, we got all these girls on their phones, we have this big nerd man who you have to figure out the keg who gets his face drawn on, and this party is really bumping. There's so many people there, it is truly insane. So then Seth is getting sad because, Summer is hitting on Ryan and it's a weird thing to see. It's very unpleasant. We're not a fan of watching Summer Roberts throw herself on Ryan Atwood, but we gotta start somewhere, you guys. And then the iconic moment, we get welcomed to the O.C, bitches, and we say, thank you, Luke, for welcoming me to the O.C. I'm happy to be here. And then inexplicably, we return to the Cohen home from the beach fight, and it makes no sense at all how they got back and how they got back without interrupting anybody in the home, and how they got back to the beach house, to the pool house without waking up their parents, especially considering how frantically Kirsten burst through the door the next morning, but hey man, whatever. Then Ryan's outside, you know, rounding out the night with a cigarette when he sees Marissa being dropped off at home by her irresponsible friends, and no one can find her keys in the tiniest purse known to man. And Ryan, you know, gives us that moment, that shot, that iconic hero moment that we are going to see from him again and again when he's carrying Marissa like a sack of potatoes. The song that is playing is called Into Dust by Mazzy Star, and it is so perfect. It truly sets the moment. We also have a not great dropping of calling Marissa colloquially retarded, which is so unpleasant. The morning comes and, you know, Kirsten bursts in and drags Seth out, and Marissa is gone, and Ryan is just lying there. And there's a great transition again of the slamming of the pool house door to the slamming of Sandy's car door from when he comes back from surfing. Ryan is being sent home, and we have a final moment between Ryan and Seth in Seth's bedroom. So we experience that moment of Seth and Ryan truly in love when Ryan bops Seth on the face with the map of the Pacific Ocean. And it's so cute, and it's so fun and playful, and we're like, these two, we just can't get enough of these two, right guys? And then finally, Ryan is going back to Chino, and Sandy is driving him, and we have this magical, beautiful shot of Marissa standing at the edge of her driveway and Luke pulling around to pick her up. And then the song called Honey in the Moon by Joseph Earth? I don't know if I wrote that down right, but it's called Honey in the Moon, and it is a hauntingly beautiful song. It just really sets the mood, and it just goes so well with like this just sadness of Ryan having to leave this like seemingly perfect place, and this, you know, leave his princess to be taken away by the big bad wolf. And then we get back to this gritty camera that we're shot with in the beginning of the show, and Ryan's house is completely empty. How did his mom get out of there that quickly and with all of her stuff? It doesn't make any sense. Although there is a, you know, Dear Ryan note on the countertop that seems to be written on like a cloth. It looks too thick for him to just like rip off the counter, but I don't know what it is. It's a mystery to me. I don't understand it. We get a classic Ryan Atwood dead eye. He does look like he has experienced this before, like his mom just disappearing, which is very sad and upsetting. And it, you know, you are thrown back into this mindset of like, oh right, this person is like 16 and this is super unfair and terrible. And then, you know, Sandy just takes him back to Orange County, presumably, because he takes him out of the house and they close the door, and it's all over. And, you know, it just leaves us wanting more. It's no wonder they got signed on for 27 episodes. That's the end of the episode. It got a 9.0 rating on IMDb because it is perfect. It's a wonderful pilot, and we are obsessed. Thank you for watching.